The first time my best friend asked when I planned to marry her, she was holding a bowl of mashed potatoes and looking completely serious. Her mother had asked the question first. Claire Bennett just made it dangerous. I was 25 then, old enough to recognize a life-changing moment and apparently young enough to sit there with gravy on my thumb while it happened. My name is Mason Reed, and I made a living photographing houses for real estate listings around Nashville. That meant I spent most days making empty rooms look warm, spacious, and full of possibility. My own apartment contained one dying plant and a folding chair I kept pretending was temporary. Claire had been my best friend for a little over 2 years. We met when she stepped backward into one of my tripods at a hotel renovation shoot, knocked over a vase of artificial branches, and blamed the vase for standing aggressively. She was 24, worked as an event coordinator, and possessed the rare ability to make chaos apologize to her. She also had dark curls she usually pinned up with whatever object was closest, brown eyes that caught every lie I told, and a smile that had recently become a problem. Not a problem I intended to discuss. Claire had ended a serious relationship 4 months earlier. I had helped carry 6 boxes out of her ex-boyfriend's condo, while she informed me in a very calm voice that if I mentioned the box labeled wedding ideas, she would leave me on the side of the highway. I didn't mention it. I also didn't tell her I'd never liked him. That Sunday, Claire invited me to her parents' house because her mother, Denise, believed single men couldn't feed themselves. She wasn't entirely wrong, but I resented the accuracy. Dinner had been loud and comfortable. Claire's father argued with the television from the living room. Her younger brother Ryan stole dinner rolls when he thought no one was looking. Claire sat beside me close enough that her knee kept brushing mine beneath the table. Each time it happened, she left it there a second longer. I noticed. Of course I noticed. So, Denise said, passing me the potatoes, when are you two getting married? I nearly dropped the bowl. Ryan stopped chewing. Claire's father leaned around the doorway, suddenly interested in a conversation that did not involve football. Claire didn't laugh. She looked at her mother, then at me. Well, she asked. I stared at her. Well, what? When? There are moments when your brain offers several possible responses and rejects all of them as likely to ruin your life. I settled on I wasn't aware there was a schedule. Claire's mouth curved. You photograph houses. I organize events. Between us, we should be able to manage a wedding. Ryan choked on his roll. Denise looked delighted. Her father quietly muted the television. I searched Claire's face for the wink, the smirk, any sign that she was rescuing us with a joke. Instead, she held my gaze with a steadiness that made the room seem smaller. June is busy for me, I managed. October then. Outdoor or indoor? Don't be ridiculous, Mason. You know I hate outdoor weddings. I know you hate mosquitoes. I also hate wind, folding chairs, and vows no one can hear. Denise put both hands over her heart. You've discussed vows? No, Claire and I said together. That finally broke the room. Everyone laughed, including Claire, and I did my best to join them. But under the table, her fingers found my wrist. Not a tap, not an accidental touch. She wrapped them lightly around me and kept them there. My pulse behaved like it had somewhere urgent to be. After dinner, Claire followed me into the kitchen with a stack of plates. We had cleaned up together at her parents' house enough times to move without talking. She scraped leftovers into containers while I loaded the dishwasher. I handed her the blue lid before she asked. She slid the silverware tray out before I reached for it. It was ordinary. That was what made it intimate. You got quiet, she said. Your mother assigned me a wedding date over mashed potatoes. She asked a reasonable question. I turned toward her. Did she? Claire leaned against the counter, crossing her arms. Her curls were coming loose and a strand had fallen across her cheek. Without thinking, I reached out and tucked it behind her ear. My hand stopped there. Her eyes lifted to mine. For 2 years, touching Claire had been easy. Side hugs. Her feet in my lap during movies. Her head on my shoulder in airport terminals. But something had shifted in the past few weeks, and now my fingertips against her cheek felt like a confession I hadn't prepared. She didn't pull away. You missed one, she whispered. One what? A curl. I lowered my hand. Occupational hazard. I don't usually photograph people. No, houses don't look back at you like you're disappointing them. You're disappointed? The humor faded from her face. Before she could answer, Denise walked in carrying 2 glasses. She saw the distance, or lack of it, between us and stopped. I forgot my water, she said, sounding far too pleased. Carry on. We're loading the dishwasher, I said. Of course you are. She left without taking either glass. Claire laughed under her breath. Subtle woman. I'm starting to understand where you get it. She bumped her hip against mine. You like me direct. That landed differently than it should have. I like you, I said. The words came out before I could soften them. Claire went still. I could have added as a friend. It was right there, available and safe. For once, I didn't take the exit. Her expression changed slowly. Not surprise exactly, more like relief trying not to show itself too soon. I like you too, she said. From the living room, her father shouted at the television again, and the spell cracked just enough for both of us to breathe. An hour later, Claire walked me to my truck. A soft drizzle had started, silver beneath the porch light. I opened the passenger door out of habit, then remembered she wasn't coming with me. She stood beside it anyway. You know Mom was teasing, she said. I assumed. And I was teasing too. That sentence should have relaxed me. It didn't. Claire studied my face, then stepped beneath the open door with me to get out of the rain. The space was narrow. Her shoulder pressed against my chest, and the clean citrus scent of her shampoo made coherent thought unnecessarily difficult. But not completely, she said. My hand tightened around the top of the door. Claire. I saw your face when she asked. You looked pretty entertained? I was terrified. That surprised me enough to make me turn fully toward her. Of what? That you'd laugh too hard. Rain tapped against the metal above us. She reached up and straightened the collar of my jacket, though nothing was wrong with it. I don't want to marry you tomorrow, Mason, she said. I'm not losing my mind. Good. Tomorrow's a work day. She smiled, but her fingers stayed against my chest. I just realized something when Mom asked, she said. The idea didn't scare me. My heart gave one hard, painful beat. Claire looked up at me, all the teasing gone. So, I need you to answer a different question. What question? Her fingers curled into my jacket, gently pulling me closer. Would it be so terrible, she whispered, if we stop pretending this is only friendship? No, I said. Claire's grip loosened on my jacket. For one awful second, I watched her face close. Then I put my hand around her waist and pulled her against me. No, I repeated. It wouldn't be terrible. Her breath caught. I had imagined kissing Claire before, more often than any decent best friend should admit. In those thoughts, I was confident, smooth, possibly standing somewhere more romantic than her parents' driveway in the rain. The reality was better. Her palm slid up my chest and settled at the back of my neck. She searched my face, giving me one last chance to retreat. I didn't. I lowered my mouth to hers. The kiss started carefully, almost cautiously, as if we were both afraid one wrong move would send us backward into friendship. Then Claire rose onto her toes and kissed me again with enough certainty to erase every careful thought in my head. I drew her closer. She made a soft sound against my mouth, and my entire understanding of the previous 2 years rearranged itself. Every movie night, every midnight phone call, every time she'd fallen asleep against my shoulder, every lingering look I had dismissed because wanting more seemed like the quickest way to lose her. When we finally separated, Claire kept her forehead against mine. Well, she whispered. Well, what? That was inconveniently good. I laughed, breathless. I can apologize. Don't you dare. She kissed me once more, shorter this time, but no less deliberate. Somewhere behind us, a curtain moved. Claire glanced toward the house. My mother is absolutely watching. Your whole family may be watching. Ryan is probably selling tickets. As if summoned, the porch light blinked twice. Claire groaned. I'm changing my name. I hear Reed is available. Her head snapped toward me. I froze. That was a joke. I know. Too soon? Wildly. Should I drive away now? Probably. Neither of us moved. Rain collected on the edge of the truck door and dropped between us. Claire traced the seam of my jacket with one finger, her smile fading into something more vulnerable. What happens now? She asked. It was the same question I'd been avoiding since the kitchen. Now was easy. Now she was warm in my arms, and kissing her felt less like crossing a line than arriving somewhere late. Tomorrow was harder. You ended a 4-year relationship 4 months ago, I said. She stepped back. Not far, but I felt it. I know how long ago it was. I'm not judging you. It sounds a little like you are. I'm trying not to take advantage of a moment. Claire folded her arms. You think I kissed you because Mom made a joke? No. Because I'm lonely? I don't know. Her jaw tightened. I hated that I'd hurt her, but I couldn't pretend the timing didn't matter. Claire's ex had chosen every part of their shared future without asking what she wanted, then called her difficult when she resisted. I had watched her spend months putting herself back together. I refused to become another man deciding what her feelings meant. I believe you want this, I said. I also know I've wanted it long enough that I'm not objective. Her expression softened slightly. How long? That was not where I expected her to focus. Claire. How long, Mason? I looked toward the porch. The curtain moved again. She reached up and turned my face back toward hers. Ignore the surveillance operation. I exhaled. The hotel shoot. Her lips parted. The day we met? You threatened a decorative vase. It had it coming. You laughed at me for carrying 3 different lens cloths. You looked like a man preparing to photograph the moon. And then you bought me coffee because you broke my tripod. I bumped it. You broke the level. It was emotionally fragile. I smiled despite myself. You wrote your number on the cup. For insurance purposes. You drew a heart beside it. That was the barista. You made the coffee. Claire narrowed her eyes. I liked your face. The simple honesty of it hit me harder than the kiss. You were dating someone, I said. I know, so I behaved. You gave me your number. And then introduced you to my boyfriend. In the first 5 minutes of our first phone call, I wanted to be your friend. She paused. I just didn't expect being your friend to become the best part of my life. I forgot about the rain. I forgot about the watching windows. I only saw her. This can't be a rebound, I said quietly. I can't be the person you try because the person before me failed. You aren't an experiment. Then let's do it properly. One eyebrow lifted. Properly? One date. We've had hundreds of dinners. As friends. You held my hair when I had food poisoning. Not part of the date. You've seen me cry in a drugstore because they discontinued my favorite mascara. Also not part of the date. You know too much about me to date me properly. I know enough to plan something you'll actually like. Claire considered that. Rules. No family commentary, no discussing hypothetical weddings, no pretending it doesn't count. And at the end, I take you home. That sounds ominously respectful. I'll try to control myself. She leaned closer. Don't try too hard. Then she kissed my cheek and slipped out from beneath the truck door. Tomorrow, she called as she hurried toward the porch. 7. I didn't say tomorrow. You've waited 2 years. I'm not giving you another week. The front door opened before she reached it. Denise stood there in a robe, making no attempt to hide her interest. Good night, Mason, she called. Good night, Denise. October has lovely weather. Claire pushed her mother inside. I drove home smiling like an idiot. The next evening, I picked Claire up at 7. I didn't take her to an expensive restaurant. Claire spent her working life in decorated ballrooms, with folded napkins and floral centerpieces. She knew how much people paid to manufacture romance. Instead, I drove us to the old neighborhood theater that played classic films on Mondays. They were showing the black and white mystery she quoted whenever she wanted to sound dramatic. Claire looked at the marquee, then at me. You remembered. You've made me watch it 6 times. 7. That isn't the correction you think it is. She wore a green dress I'd never seen before, soft at the sleeves and fitted at the waist. Her curls were down. I tried not to stare and failed with enough transparency to make her smile. "Are you going to tell me I look nice?" she asked. I was aiming for coherent. "Take your time. You look beautiful." Her teasing expression vanished. "So do you," she said. "I'm wearing a shirt. A surprisingly successful shirt." We bought popcorn, shared a soda, and sat in the back row. Halfway through the film, her hand slipped into mine. It shouldn't have felt so different. It did. Our fingers had linked before in crowded streets and dark concert venues, but this time, her thumb moved slowly over my knuckles. This time, I knew she was aware of every point where we touched. Afterward, we walked beneath the theater lights while she explained why the ending was perfect, and I argued that the detective ignored obvious evidence. "You're missing the point," she said. "The point is that he's bad at his job. The point is that love makes people irrational." That's convenient writing. She stopped beside my truck. "You kissed your best friend in your own headlights last night." I had compelling evidence. "What evidence?" "You kissed me back." Claire moved closer, her green dress brushing my legs. "And if I did it again, I'd update my theory." Her hands settled on my shoulders. Very professional. "I take research seriously." This kiss wasn't careful. I backed against the truck as she kissed me, laughing softly when I nearly fumbled my keys. My hands found her waist and she pressed closer, warm and sure. Then she pulled back, but only enough to speak. "I need to tell you something." My chest tightened. "That sentence never improves an evening. I applied for a job before we kissed." "Okay." "In Atlanta." The noise of the street seemed to recede. Claire's fingers tightened on my shoulders. "They offered it to me this afternoon," she said. "I have until Friday to decide." I took my hands off Claire's waist. Not because I wanted distance, because if I kept holding her, I might say something selfish. "When would you start?" I asked. 3 weeks. "That's soon." "I know." "Is it a good job?" Her gaze shifted past me toward the theater. "It's director of private events for a hotel group. More money, bigger budgets, my own team." Her dream job, in other words. I forced a smile. "That's amazing." "That's all? What do you want me to say?" "I don't know." She folded her arms, suddenly guarded. "Something that sounds like you care whether I leave." "I care. You stepped away from me. So I wouldn't ask you to give up an opportunity 5 minutes after our first date. You could still have a reaction. I'm having several. Most of them are unhelpful. Try me." I looked at her standing beneath the marquee in the green dress she'd chosen for me. "I want you to stay," I said. Her breath caught. "I want to take you out again tomorrow. I want to kiss you without wondering whether I'm starting something with an expiration date. I want to be happy for you without feeling like someone just punched me." I shoved my hands into my pockets. "But you applied before anything changed between us. I'm not going to make you responsible for how long it took me to tell you what I wanted." Claire's posture softened. "You didn't take that long," she said. "I could have told you too." "Why didn't you?" "Because I was with someone else. Then I was trying to remember who I was without him." She looked down. And by the time I felt ready, this offer was already possible. A couple emerged from the theater behind us, laughing as they passed. I envied their uncomplicated evening. "Do you want the job?" I asked. "Yes." The answer hurt, but it came without hesitation. Then she added, "I want you too." That hurt in an entirely different way. I stepped toward her again. "Those things don't have to cancel each other out. You want to do long distance after one date?" "No, I want to do long distance after 2 years and one date." Her mouth curved despite herself. "That's a terrible slogan. I'm a photographer, not a copywriter. It's 4 hours. I own a truck. You complain if the grocery store is more than 10 minutes away. The grocery store doesn't kiss me. You don't know what the cashiers do after closing." I caught her hand and pulled her closer. "Are you trying to make me jealous of a supermarket? Is it working?" "A little." She laughed and the knot in my chest loosened. I touched her cheek. Take whatever time you need to decide, but don't make the decision based on what you think I can handle. What can you handle? Finding out. Claire searched my face. You'd really try? I'm standing here telling you I've wanted you since the day we met. I'm not quitting because the highway is inconvenient. She rose on her toes and kissed me. There was no audience this time. No family behind curtains, no joke giving either of us somewhere to hide. Just Claire choosing me and me choosing her back. When she drew away, her eyes were bright. Take me home, she said. The words sent heat through me, but I made myself ask, your home or mine? Mine. Claire. I'm not asking you to sleep with me. Oh. She gave me an amused look. Try not to sound devastated. I was recalibrating. I don't want to be alone tonight. Her thumb brushed my lower lip. And I don't want the date to end like this. So I drove her home. We changed into old clothes and sat cross-legged on her living room floor with takeout cartons between us. Claire wore sleep shorts and one of my college sweatshirts she had stolen a year earlier. I'd seen her in it dozens of times. I had never before struggled with the knowledge that she wore almost nothing beneath it. Eyes up, Reed, she said. I was admiring the university logo. 6 inches higher. The design has excellent flow. She threw a napkin at me. We talked until after midnight, not only about the job, but about us, the parts we'd hidden, the moments we'd almost said something. She told me she'd nearly kissed me at Ryan's birthday party the previous summer. You spent the whole night talking to the bartender, I said. I was asking whether she was single. For yourself? For you, idiot. You'd been staring at her. I was trying to read the cocktail menu behind her head. Claire covered her face. I went home furious. I went home wondering why you kept glaring at me. You could have asked. You could have kissed me. I was in a relationship. I know. That's why I didn't ask. She lowered her hands. You really waited all that time? I wasn't waiting. I was being your friend. And wanting more. Both can be true. Her expression turned tender. Come here. I shifted beside her on the couch. She tucked herself against my chest and drew a blanket over us. We kissed slowly without the urgency from outside the theater. Her fingers moved through my hair. Mine traced the line of her spine over the sweatshirt, learning the difference between touching my best friend and touching the woman I wanted. At one point, Claire pulled back, breathing unevenly. If you keep doing that, I'm going to reconsider my earlier statement. Which one? She stared at me. I smiled. I need clarity. You make many statements. The sleeping together one. I stilled my hand at her waist. Then I'll stop. Didn't say you had to. You said you weren't asking. I'm aware. And tonight has been complicated. Enough! She studied me for a long moment, then kissed the corner of my mouth. Stay anyway? Absolutely. We fell asleep on the couch with her head over my heart. In the morning, I woke to sunlight, a numb arm, and Claire watching me. How long have you been awake? I asked. Long enough to hear you snore. I don't snore. You made a sound like an offended tractor. I was having an agricultural dream. She smiled and traced my eyebrow with her fingertip. This feels different, she whispered. It is different. I'm scared. Me too. Good. Why is that good? Because I'd feel ridiculous being scared alone. I kissed her forehead. You're not doing any of this alone. For the next 4 days, we acted like people trying to fit the beginning of a relationship into a shrinking space. I brought lunch to her office. She joined me on a twilight photo shoot and danced through every empty room when she thought I wasn't looking. We kissed in elevators, parking lots, and once in a furniture showroom until an employee politely asked if we needed help selecting a sofa. Friday evening, Claire asked me to meet her at the pedestrian bridge. She stood at the center, wind tugging at her curls, city lights rising behind her. I accepted the job, she said. I had prepared for that answer. It still hollowed something out inside me. Okay. That's all you're going to say again? I'm proud of you. Mason. I'm sad for me, proud of you, terrified for us. Pick one and I'll expand. She stepped closer. Ask me to stay? I stared at her. You said you wanted me to make my own choice, she continued. I did. I chose the job. Then why would I ask? Because part of me has been waiting all week for you to fight for me. I am fighting for you. I'm just not fighting your future. Her eyes filled. What if I don't want Noble? She whispered. What if I want you to give me one selfish reason to stay? Stay because I love you. The words came out louder than I intended. A cyclist passing behind us turned his head. Claire didn't seem to hear anything beyond the space between us. What did you say? I love you. She stared at me, lips parted. I stepped closer because there was no safe distance left to keep. You want selfish? I said. Stay because I hate waking up without you already, and I've only had 5 mornings to get used to the possibility. Stay because you're the first person I want to tell when something goes right and the only person I call when it doesn't. Stay because every empty house I photograph makes me imagine what ours could look like. A tear slipped down her cheek. I brushed it away. Stay because I'm in love with you, Claire. I have been for longer than either of us wants to admit. She caught my wrist. Then ask me. I swallowed. Stay. Her eyes closed. For one suspended moment, I thought she might say yes. Then she leaned forward and pressed her forehead to my chest. I can't. It felt like the bridge had dropped beneath me. My arm still went around her. I know, I whispered. I hate you for understanding. I can be unreasonable if it helps. I want both. Then we try for both. She drew back. You still want to? You leaving doesn't change what I said. Mason, I don't know if this is going to work. Neither do I. What if we ruin the friendship? I gave a short laugh. You kissed me in your parents' driveway. The friendship is already ruined. That isn't funny. It's a little funny. She hit my chest, then grabbed my jacket and pulled me into a kiss. It was wet with tears and desperate enough to make the city disappear. I held her face in both hands, kissing her with every selfish reason I had asked her to stay and every unselfish reason I would still let her go. When we separated, she kept hold of me. I love you too, she whispered. The confession hurt and healed me in the same breath. You could have led with that. You were making a speech. It was a good speech. A little dramatic. We're on a bridge at night. I read the room. She laughed through her tears. 3 weeks later, I helped load her belongings into a rented truck. Denise cried openly. Claire's father checked the tire pressure 4 times. Ryan carried. One lamp outside announced he had injured his back and disappeared until the pizza arrived. When it was time to leave, Claire and I stood beside her car. You could come with me, she said. I glanced at my truck. I am. I'm driving behind you. I mean permanently. It was the first time either of us had said it. I have shoots booked through the next 2 months. I know. And you need time to learn whether you even like the job. I know that too. But after that, I let the possibility hang between us. Claire looked hopeful and frightened. After that, we talk. We're very bad at talking. We're excellent at talking. We're bad at saying the important part. She looped her arms around my neck. I love you. I love you too. See, improving already. I followed her to Atlanta, carried boxes up 3 flights of stairs, assembled a bookshelf backward, and spent the first night with her on a mattress on the floor. We didn't sleep much. The next morning, her alarm went off at 6. Claire reached blindly across my chest to silence it. First day, I murmured. Tell them I died. You're very warm for a corpse. Natural talent. I kissed her awake slowly enough that she smiled before opening her eyes. Stay 1 more day, she whispered. I have a shoot at 3. Cancel it. You like having a boyfriend with electricity? She opened one eye. Boyfriend? You object? No. Her smile widened. Say it again. I have electricity. Mason. My girlfriend has a demanding job. She kissed me until I nearly missed my drive back. Long distance was not romantic most of the time. It was traffic, bad phone reception, and comparing calendars until one of us got irritated. It was eating dinner over video calls and pretending frozen pasta tasted better because we were technically together. But there were moments. Claire once drove 4 hours just to bring me coffee before a sunrise shoot. I spent a Tuesday night at the back of a ballroom while she managed a charity gala, watching her command 60 employees with a headset crooked over her curls. At midnight, she found me sitting alone at a decorated table. "This is either very supportive or very creepy," she said. "I contain multitudes." She dropped into the chair beside me and kicked off her heels. Dance with me! There's no music. There was music for 6 hours. I'm enjoying the silence. I took her hand and led her onto the empty dance floor. We moved beneath half-dimmed chandeliers while the cleanup crew dismantled the room around us. Claire rested her cheek against my shoulder. "This is my favorite part of weddings," she said, "watching strangers stack chairs. After everyone leaves, all the pressure's over and the people who matter are still there." I kissed the top of her head. "I'm still here." "I know." After 2 months, the drives began wearing us down. I missed a dinner with her coworkers when a client extended a shoot. She missed my birthday breakfast after a wedding ran past midnight. Neither of us blamed the other, which somehow made the disappointment worse. During our worst argument, Claire accused me of treating our relationship like an appointment I could reschedule. I told her she was the one whose calendar required color coding. She hung up. I called back 12 seconds later. "I'm sorry," we both said at once, but sorry didn't shorten the highway. A week later, a commercial developer offered me a 6-month contract photographing renovated properties across Georgia. It was better work than I'd been getting, with enough flexibility to keep several clients in Nashville. I didn't tell Claire, not immediately. I wanted to know I could build a life there, not merely follow her into one. I spent the next month driving down for meetings, looking at apartments, and calculating costs. Claire knew I was working on a project. She also knew I was terrible at keeping secrets. On our 3-month anniversary, she called me from her apartment. "You forgot," she said. My stomach dropped. "Forgot what?" "Dinner." I checked the time. Then I looked at the front door directly in front of me. "I'm sorry. You said 8. I know. I bought actual groceries, Mason. Ingredients. Some of them are green." "That's serious?" "I was going to cook." Now I'm genuinely frightened. Silence. "You aren't funny," she said. "Open your door." Another silence. The door swung inward. Claire stood barefoot in the yellow dress I loved, phone still pressed to her ear. Her anger vanished when she saw me in the hallway. Then her gaze dropped to the 2 suitcases beside me. "You're here." "I am." "For how long?" I held out a key. She stared at it. "What is that?" "My apartment." Her eyes widened. "2 blocks away," I said. 6-month lease. Independent contract. No reckless sacrifices, no sleeping in my truck, and no making you responsible if I hate the traffic. Claire lowered the phone. "You're moving here?" "I'm choosing here." I stepped closer. "I'm choosing you." She threw her arms around me hard enough to knock me against the wall. Then she pulled back suddenly. "Wait," she said. "You rented an apartment?" "Yes." "Without letting me see it?" "I thought the romance of the gesture would outweigh your need for inspection." "It does not." "It has a dishwasher." "Closet space?" "Some." "Mason, we can negotiate." She kissed me, laughing against my mouth. When she finally let me breathe, she took the key from my hand. "I have something for you too," she said. "You cooked?" "Better." Claire disappeared into her apartment and returned with an envelope. Inside was a single photograph of a small brick storefront in Nashville. I looked up. "What is this?" "The future office of Bennett Events." My chest tightened. "You're moving back?" "Not exactly." She bit her lip, failing to hide a smile. "The hotel wants to open a Nashville division next year. They asked me to run it." "Next year? If I say yes?" I lifted her into my arms, and she laughed as I spun her in the hallway. Then her smile softened. "There's one condition," she said. "What condition?" "They want my decision Monday." "And?" Claire touched her forehead to mine. "And if I come home, I don't want to go back to living across town from you." "You want to live together," I said. Claire's smile turned uncertain. That sounded less alarming in my head. I set her back on her feet but kept my arms around her. "We've officially dated for 3 months. We've been inseparable for more than 2 years. We currently live 4 hours apart." "Exactly. If we can survive that, we can survive sharing a bathroom. You own 43 hair products." 41. I finished 2? And you leave water glasses on every flat surface. You use decorative towels to clean camera lenses. They're absorbent. They're decorative. I kissed her before our first domestic argument could begin. Yes, I said against her lips. Claire pulled back. Yes, I misuse towels? Yes, I want to live with you. Her entire face brightened. Really? I just moved 2 blocks away. Give me a few months before you steal my closet. Your closet? Our closet, I corrected. Better. We agreed to spend the next year in Atlanta. I would keep my apartment mostly because Claire insisted that choosing each other didn't mean skipping every step between first kiss and shared mortgage. In practice, I slept at my place about twice a week. The rest of the time, my toothbrush stood beside hers. My camera bags occupied one corner of her living room. Her dresses slowly migrated into my closet, proving she had launched a quiet, territorial campaign. We learned the ordinary parts of loving each other. Claire sang while she cooked and swore while she assembled furniture. I forgot to replace empty toilet paper rolls and needed complete silence before my first cup of coffee. She'd like the room freezing at night. I slept with one foot outside the blanket. Our first real fight happened when I accepted a weekend shoot without checking the date of her company gala. Our second happened because she apologized for being upset when she had every right to be. The third involved a basil plant neither of us remembered buying. But every argument ended with us on the same side. Sometimes that took 5 minutes. Sometimes it took an evening and a long walk. Once it took Claire sitting on the kitchen counter while I stood between her knees. I'm afraid you'll wake up and realize this moved too fast, she admitted. I rested my hands on her thighs. I'm afraid you'll think you owe me something because I came here. I don't. I know. And you don't regret coming? I regret that interstate with every part of my soul, but not this. I kissed her softly. She wrapped her legs around my waist. Good answer. Do I get a prize? You may have one decorative towel. I was hoping for something else. Her smile changed. That can be arranged. By the following spring, Claire had built the company's most profitable events team. My contract was extended, then expanded. When the hotel officially approved its Nashville division, Claire accepted before they finished making the offer. We went home together. The brick storefront from her photograph became Bennett Events, with tall front windows and an office Claire painted the exact shade of green from our first date. We rented a house 10 minutes from her parents. It had 2 bedrooms, a crooked back fence, and enough natural light that I fell in love before the agent finished opening the blinds. Claire walked through the empty living room, turned in a circle, and looked at me. What? I asked. You have that face. What face? The one you make when you're composing a photograph. I'm deciding where the furniture goes. We don't own enough furniture. We'll get some. An actual couch? I've evolved. She came to stand in front of me. Can you see us here? I looked past her at the sunlit floor, then back into the eyes of the woman I'd once been too afraid to want. I've seen us everywhere. We signed the lease that afternoon. 3 weeks later, we had dinner at her parents' house. Denise served roast chicken, green beans, and mashed potatoes. I should have recognized the setup. Claire sat beside me with her knee pressed against mine. Her father watched baseball from the living room. Ryan stole a dinner roll and denied it while still chewing. Everything was almost exactly as it had been that first night. Denise waited until I accepted the potatoes. So, she said, when are you two getting married? I set the bowl down carefully. Claire turned toward me. Her brown eyes sparkled. Well, she asked. When? This time I had an answer. I pushed my chair back and stood. The room went quiet. Claire stared as I reached into my pocket. No, she whispered. Yes. Mason. I lowered myself onto one knee beside her chair. Denise made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a squeal. Claire's father muted the television. Ryan scrambled for his phone until his mother slapped it out of his hand. I opened the ring box. Claire covered her mouth. I've had this for 6 weeks, I told her. I kept waiting for the perfect place. And you chose mashed potatoes? I was ambushed. She laughed, already crying. I took her hand. Claire, you've been my best friend since the day you assaulted my tripod. The vase did it. I stand corrected. You make every room feel less empty. You challenge me, infuriate me, make me laugh at the worst possible times, and love me better than I knew anyone could. Her fingers trembled in mine. I don't want to plan a future around you, I said. I want to build one with you. So, since you keep asking how does October sound? She slipped out of her chair and dropped to her knees in front of me. Indoor wedding? She asked. Obviously. No folding chairs? Never. No vows people can't hear? I'll use a microphone. And you'll let me organize it? With a professionally enforced budget. That last part needs discussion. Is that a yes? Claire framed my face in her hands. Yes! She kissed me while her family cheered around us. Then Denise shouted, I knew it! With such force that we both started laughing. We married that October in the old theater where we'd had our first date. Claire walked down the aisle in a simple ivory dress, her curls loose over her shoulders. I forgot every prepared thought when I saw her. During my vows, I promised to love her through job offers, traffic, misplaced water glasses, and all future crimes against decorative towels. During hers, she promised never to make me attend an outdoor wedding unless someone paid her an unreasonable amount of money. Our first dance happened beneath the theater's faded gold lights. Halfway through, the music briefly cut out. Claire rested her cheek against my shoulder. My favorite part, she whispered. No music? Everyone we love is still here. I held her closer. So am I. 2 years later, Bennett Events occupied the storefront next door as well. My photographs hung in the lobby, including one of an empty living room flooded with sunlight. It wasn't empty anymore. Our couch sat beneath those windows. Claire's water glasses appeared on every surface. My camera gear claimed half the dining room, and a healthy basil plant grew on the sill through what I can only describe as a miracle. Some evenings, Claire would come home late, kick off her heels, and find me waiting in the kitchen. I would hold out my hand and we'd dance without music while dinner went cold. That became my favorite image of our life. My wife barefoot in my arms, laughing beneath the warm kitchen light, in a home we had finally filled together. What would you have done if your best friend's mom asked when you were getting married, and your best friend looked at you and seriously asked, well, when? Have you ever experienced something similar? Tell me your story in the comments. And for those who'd like to be a little closer to us, we've opened memberships, where you'll get shorter exclusive stories every week with no ads. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.